Welcome to Soul Stories, where every story touches hearts, inspires minds, and leaves a message that stays with you forever. Real emotions, real lessons, real stories. This is Soul Stories. Emma Carter, the well-known CEO whose name echoed through boardrooms and business magazines alike, was driving home after a long and mentally exhausting meeting. The sun was slipping behind the horizon, leaving a soft orange glow across the quiet countryside road. She welcomed the silence. After days of endless phone calls, presentations, and negotiations, she finally had a rare moment to breathe. But the peace shattered instantly. As Emma took a slow turn near a wooded curve, her headlights caught a small figure standing dangerously close to the edge of the road. A little girl, no more than 6 or 7, was trembling, hugging a worn-out teddy bear to her chest. Her cheeks were wet with tears that glittered under the headlights. Emma's heart dropped. She immediately pulled over and stepped out of the car. The girl looked terrified, taking a tiny step back before whispering in a shaky voice, "Ma'am, I can't find my daddy." Emma knelt down so she wasn't towering over the child. Her voice softened, completely shifting from CEO mode to nurturing instinct. "It's okay, sweetheart, you're safe now. What's your name?" Ava, the girl sniffled, clutching the teddy bear tighter. Her hands were cold and her lips trembled. Emma gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hi, Ava, I'm Emma. I promise I'll help you. Where did you last see your daddy?" Ava lifted her small arm and pointed toward the thick forest nearby. "Daddy went into the woods and he didn't come back. He heard someone calling for help. He told me to wait by the road, but it's been a long time." Emma felt a heavy ache in her chest. She could hear the fear behind every word Ava spoke. "Have you been waiting alone all this time?" Ava nodded, her voice breaking. "I got scared. I thought maybe he forgot me." Emma shook her head gently. "No, sweetheart, your daddy didn't forget you. Something just delayed him. We'll find him, okay? I won't leave you alone." The wind rustled through the trees and the forest ahead looked darker with each passing minute. Emma knew the situation could be dangerous, an injured person, fading light, and a child left behind. She quickly guided Ava to the passenger seat of her car, grabbing her coat to wrap around the trembling girl. Then she stepped back out, scanning the woods as if her eyes could pierce through the darkness. A strange feeling settled in her stomach. She didn't know this child, didn't know her father, yet some instinct pulled her into action. The CEO who made decisions worth millions suddenly had only one mission: get this little girl's father back safely. As Emma took Ava's hand and prepared to walk toward the trees, she whispered to herself, "This little girl needs me, and I won't fail her." Emma held Ava's small hand tightly as they approached the edge of the forest. The towering trees swayed with the cold wind, their branches scraping against each other like warning whispers. The sun had nearly disappeared now, leaving behind long shadows that stretched across the silent path. "Are you sure this is the way your dad went?" Emma asked gently. Ava nodded, pointing to a narrow dirt trail barely visible under fallen leaves. "Daddy said he heard someone calling for help from in there." Her voice trembled with fear and uncertainty. Emma glanced at her phone. One tiny bar of signal flickered and then vanished again. Calling for help now would be nearly impossible. She looked down at Ava, who was still clinging to her teddy as if it were the only thing keeping her steady. "All right," Emma said softly. "We stay together. You don't leave my side, okay?" Ava nodded again, this time stepping closer to Emma, half hiding behind her leg. The deeper they went, the darker the woods became. The thick canopy above blocked what little light remained. Every step produced a crunch of leaves, each sound echoing in the eerie stillness. Emma scanned every corner, trying to stay calm, though unease crawled up her spine. "Did your dad say who he heard?" Emma asked. Ava shook her head. "No, he just said, 'Someone needs help, I'll be right back.' Then he ran." Emma tried not to show worry on her face, but inside she feared what they might find. The idea of someone calling for help out here, alone, in the fading daylight, suggested something serious had happened. A sudden rustling made Ava jump. She gripped Emma's arm, eyes wide. "Is that Daddy?" Emma listened carefully. It was only the wind. "Not yet," she whispered, "but we'll keep going." The forest grew colder as they continued. Emma's business shoes sank into the soft earth, but she pushed forward without hesitation. Her mind wandered to all the emergency cases she had read about: lost hikers, injured campers, sudden accidents. She prayed this was not one of those situations. At one point, Ava tugged at her sleeve. "Ma'am, do you think Daddy is hurt?" Emma knelt, brushing a strand of hair from Ava's face. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise you we're going to find him, no matter what." Ava swallowed hard, nodding bravely even as her eyes watered. As they continued down the path, Emma noticed signs of disturbance: footprints, snapped twigs, leaves brushed aside. Someone had definitely passed through here recently. Suddenly, a faint echo reached them, something distant, something unclear. Emma stopped, holding her breath. "Did you hear that?" Ava whispered. Emma gently squeezed her hand. "Yes, let's keep moving, but slowly." The sound faded, replaced by the rhythmic beating of Emma's heart as adrenaline surged through her. The forest wasn't just silent now. It was watching. And somewhere ahead, a man was waiting, hurt, lost, or worse. Emma tightened her grip on Ava's hand and stepped deeper into the darkness, refusing to turn back. The forest grew even darker as Emma and Ava pushed forward, following the faint sounds that came and went like whispers carried by the wind. Emma's senses sharpened, every crack of a branch made her muscles tense. Ava stayed glued to her side, her tiny hand trembling in Emma's. Just as Emma started to question whether they were moving in the right direction, something on the ground caught her eye, a faint metallic glint beneath a pile of leaves. "Wait," Emma murmured, gently pulling Ava to a stop. She crouched down and brushed the leaves aside, revealing a broken flashlight. The casing was cracked and the bulb had shattered as if it had hit the ground hard. Ava gasped, her voice barely a whisper. That's Daddy's flashlight." Emma felt her chest tighten. This meant they were close, very close. She placed a comforting hand on Ava's shoulder. "This helps us. It means your dad came through here." But Ava's eyes filled with fear instead of relief. If he dropped it, maybe he's really hurt. Emma didn't have an answer she could promise. She simply took the flashlight and slipped it into her pocket before standing again. They continued along the uneven path, and soon the faint sound they had heard earlier returned, clearer this time. A low, pained groan. Ava froze. "Ma'am, that sounded like Daddy." Emma's heart pounded. "Let's go, stay right behind me." They followed the sound until the trees opened into a small clearing, and there, on the ground, half-pinned beneath a fallen tree branch, lay a man. His clothes were dirty, his face pale, and his breathing shallow. His leg was trapped under a heavy branch and he looked weak, struggling to keep his eyes open. Ava let out a small cry. "Daddy." The man's eyes fluttered open. "Ava," his voice was hoarse, filled with pain and relief at the same time. Ava tried to run to him, but Emma gently held her back. "Careful, sweetheart, let me check first." Emma rushed forward, kneeling beside him. "Sir, can you hear me? I'm Emma, your daughter is with me, we're here to help." He nodded faintly. I tried to lift the branch, slipped, I think my leg is broken." Emma pulled off her jacket, folding it into a cushion to support his head. "Don't move, you need to stay as still as possible." She reached for her phone again. Miraculously, a small signal bar flickered to life. Not strong, but enough. She dialed emergency services with shaking fingers. "We need a rescue team immediately. Adult male trapped under a fallen tree, serious leg injury. We're deep in the woods near Route 19. The operator assured her help was on the way. Ava finally knelt beside her father, her tiny hand gripping his. "Daddy, I was so scared." He forced a weak smile. I'm okay, sweetheart, you did so good." Emma watched the emotional scene, a swell of relief washing over her. Help was coming, they found him, they were no longer alone in the dark. For the first time since entering the woods, Emma allowed herself to breathe. The distant wail of sirens slowly grew louder, echoing through the forest as the rescue team raced toward the clearing. Emma stayed close to Ava's father, making sure he remained conscious while Ava clung to his hand, refusing to let go. "You're going to be okay," Emma said softly, keeping her voice steady even as adrenaline still pulsed through her. "Help is almost here." Ava's father gave a weak nod. His breaths were shallow, but there was relief in his eyes now, relief that Ava was safe and no longer waiting alone on the roadside. "Thank you for finding her, for finding me," he whispered. "You don't have to thank me," Emma replied. "You both needed help. Anyone would have done the same." But Ava shook her head fiercely. "No, ma'am, nobody stopped, only you did." Her tiny voice struck something deep inside Emma. The truth was, many cars had probably passed that road, but fate had placed Emma there at just the right moment when a frightened child needed someone who wouldn't look away. Moments later, the rescue team arrived, flashlights cutting bright paths through the darkness. Medics rushed to Ava's father, assessing his injuries and preparing equipment to lift the heavy tree branch trapping him. "Stand back, please," one rescuer said gently. Emma guided Ava away, keeping her arms around the trembling little girl as the team coordinated. With teamwork and equipment, the rescuers carefully lifted the branch off his leg. He groaned in pain but didn't let go of Ava's hand until the stretcher was ready. "Daddy," Ava cried as they lifted him. He reached out weakly, brushing her hair. "It's okay, sweetheart, I'm right here." Emma walked with them as they carried him toward the path where the ambulance waited. The forest didn't feel frightening anymore. The bright lights and the presence of people made it seem almost peaceful now. When they reached the ambulance, Ava climbed inside first, settling beside her father. Only then did she finally smile, a small but genuine smile of pure relief. Before the doors closed, Ava looked back at Emma, her eyes shining. "Ma'am, thank you for saving my daddy." Emma felt her heart soften completely. She leaned in, brushing Ava's arm gently. "You were so brave tonight. Your dad is proud of you, and so am I." Ava's father turned his head despite the pain. "I owe you my life. If you hadn't found her, if you hadn't come into the woods." Emma shook her head. "Just focus on getting better. That's all that matters now." The doors shut softly and the ambulance lights reflected through the trees as it drove away. Emma stood there for a moment, watching the vehicle disappear down the road. The night was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty. Something in Emma had shifted. She had spent years in boardrooms solving corporate crises, but none of those victories compared to what she felt now. Compassion, not power, was what truly changed lives. As she walked back toward her car, a gentle wind rustled the leaves, almost as if the forest itself was whispering a thank you. Emma smiled to herself, knowing she would never forget this night or the little girl who had trusted her completely. It wasn't just the end of a rescue. It was the beginning of something much deeper, a reminder that even the strongest leaders sometimes find their greatest purpose in the most unexpected moments.